Alright, so I'm doing a challenge trying to platinum every single game inside of the Ubisoft Plus game catalog on PlayStation. And if I can't do it before we hit 690,000 subscribers on YouTube, then I have to tattoo the platinum logo somewhere on my body. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. So one of Ubisoft's newest games they have recently created and punished the world with is Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. The reviews are honestly kind of surprising to me because I must have played a different game, since this thing is one of the most trash, tedious, and flat out stupid games I've ever played. Just looking at this guide for a split second, you can instantly see that there is an abnormal amount of collectible trophies in the game. And that's mostly because the developers weren't creative enough to actually do anything aside from throwing in a bunch of placeholder items everywhere around the ridiculously cluttered map. I'm trying to say basically that I hate this game more than I usually despise Ubisoft titles.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyways, the Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora Platinum contains 32 total trophies, and I want to cry after getting it earlier today. I genuinely might hear soon, we don't know. The first stage is just beat the story because it's the only real thing you have to do in order to get high enough of a level and be able to clean up the other game's useless trophies. It first opens with some plot setting telling us about the time this game takes place, and I honestly don't care because I'm not a blue person nerd. I prefer the Smurfs over James Cameron, and that's on God. But this game's story is as bland and generic as the Avatar movie itself. A bunch of blue people want to live in peace, and the sky people or humans want to not let that happen, of course, for economic motives. Low-key, it's the same plot as the movie except without the love story, and instead you just play as a retarded generic main character doing chores for everyone. Anyways, the first mission has us trying to escape from the facility we are in because it gets raided by humans in search of us. You also get to learn some movement and parkour mechanics, which aren't really a huge help because a 12-foot tall blue person isn't agile no matter how much of the biting concoction you try to give them. Overall though, this sequence is very easy and you don't even have to kill anyone. But if you paid attention, this is again a first mission where you just run away from enemies. Remind you of any other Ubisoft game or games. Wait, that's actually how they just make their games. The same thing every time. Round of applause, I guess. A man once told me the difference between good and great is consistency, and this studio is consistently shit. But that's okay because our big blue ass has now been set free into the wonderful world of Pandora, or I should say, an oversized jungle with reused assets all over it and hardly any chance of knowing direction. Adding on with a bad map system, this game's exploration goes from open world to please open my head with a shotgun. Okay, I'm done with my rant. The first trophy I got was from finishing a quest called Becoming, which is the first major storyline quest, mumble jumbo, we followed until its conclusion. But as you can see in these cutscenes, some bad things happen from those meanie-faced humans, and yeah, that's about it. There's the trophy, and I already want to die. Next trophy I received from this sin of creation was also story, by the way, and it was from recruiting the Iranhe people, who are a tribe within Pandora. The main purpose of this game's entire story is us doing missions for each tribe we want to recruit, so we can get their vow of assistance when it comes down to the final fight and mission of the game. So we pretty much just go around the entire story sucking up to tribe leaders like a desperate 34-year-old woman who has yet to have any children or meaningful relationships.
Oh my god!
But aside from that, the next trophy I got wasn't story related, or at least not in relation to a quest. Instead, it was just from touching my third ancestor skill plant. These little things are positioned around the map, and if you find one and touch it, you get a new ancestor skill, which is like this big special singular improvement that gives new momentum, increases in other things, and a reason to continue. Speaking of having a reason to continue, I was failing at that and couldn't continue the story because I was under-leveled. This game, again, because it's a Ubisoft title, loves to crank up the level of the enemies drastically within each story quest you do, making it quite hard to stay up to pace if you don't stop playing the story and go do meaningless grinding around the game that you won't ever remember. I had to do that, and it sucked, but I did end up crafting a superior or higher level weapon and got the Apprentice Crafter trophy from it. Next up would actually be a Ubisoft classic trophy from just capturing or taking over X amounts of outposts in the game. This time with Avatar though, it was only 5 to start with, and there's that trophy. Outposts, by the way, are one of the hardest pure combat things to do inside of the game, mostly just because they have insane amounts of enemies on the harder ones, and stealth in this game is near impossible. I think being the biggest eyesore in Smurfville mostly plays into that, but it just sucks. I then got a trophy from unlocking 3 recipes in the game. So no, you don't have to actually cook them, just getting the recipes from quests usually will pop the trophy. I now feel even more empty than before. Next trophy I got was called Stronger Together. It's got them from finishing a mission where you essentially just burn down a giant enemy outpost because they were holding and exporting alien animals and also killing them for trophies. God, I love humans. We always find a great way to ruin everything aside from ourselves. I then got a trophy that was just from simply scanning 20 different gatherable animals and wildlife, essentially all the things that you can either kill and take or just take. So there's that trophy. And speaking of gathering things, I got another trophy right after for finding 30 gatherable desirable plants around the game. Man, we really are just burning through these. I can't wait to never play this game again and watch it burn a hole in my library of played games where all Ubisoft titles meet their fate. Anyways, next trophy I got was another elusive story related one, and this time it popped after some healer of a tribe sent us on a damn mystical trip full of fun times, good times, and straight up drugs. But we didn't overdose, it came out on the other side, so there's that trophy. Next up was another story trophy, and this time the story was a bit more exciting because the mission pretty much just consisted of super hard combat that was indeed a bit annoying. Anyways, this story trophy only related to 2 quests, so it popped relatively quick after the previous one. And that was pretty much it for the story trophies because the next one I got was actually the last story trophy in the game. And as I said earlier, it just has us attack the main evil base with the evil guy in it, and all of our homies from different tribes doing other behind the scenes things. But we pretty much just blow up the place and watch as Mercer, the evil dude, gets taken out by our fellow blue person behind him. There was also credits, but at least these developers added a skip option unlike some other Ubisoft titles that force you to watch it all. So yeah, there's the final story trophy. Now it's time for cleanup time. The longest and most horrible one I've had in a while. The first major trophy I was working towards was the 100% air pollution gone trophy, or whatever the hell it's called. But it's basically just from retaking back every single outpost, installment, and base in the game from the humans. And there is actually quite a few trophies gotten on the way there. First being called Little by Little, which is gotten from taking over 10 RDA installations. That is the general term, by the way, but these are called like gas collector outpost or drill tower outpost and things like that, partaking to what the purpose of them is. By the way, doing these in particular don't completely suck in comparison to what comes after, so I'll try not to dog on the outpost trophies because they honestly aren't that bad. And while grinding out more of them, I ended up finally getting the apex skill point for the warrior section of the skill tree. This is haunting me, by the way, because in order to get this skill, you can't just buy it, and you have to do specific kill actions with weapons. My final one being some kill on a super armored enemy with my very weak wooden spear. And I was unaware that because the spear I was using had a specific buff on it, the damage was spreading on impact and voiding out all of my weak point kills I needed. So that took about an hour of agony to realize, which is so much fun. And about 2 hours after that, I finally managed to get the 100% takeover of everything, giving Pandora back to our blue ball society. I then began to just go down the list, which is what I do most of the time when trophy guides don't really need specific stages, with my next trophy being much faster than the previous one and only required me to kill a Thanlore. This is essentially just the hardest animal enemy in the game, and it did almost kill me, but I won, so there's that trophy. Next up, we began to fall into the collectible rabbit hole of Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. First being from grabbing 20 Tarsiu sabaculings. These are just a plant you gotta touch 20 times around the map that also give the skill points every time. But Lord have mercy, finding collectibles in this game, even though they pop up on the map, becomes one hell of a grind since the game's open world, as I've said, is just more confusing than anything I could have ever imagined. It's literally just a jungle with no direction and then the occasional hole you drop into to find the collectible that is just not in view whatsoever. But hey, there's the trophy. Whoop-de-doo-de-doo. I then did a similar collectible trophy after from touching 20 bell springs. Not gonna lie, a lot of touching has been going on in this game. I'm not sure if Dr. Disrespect got added onto the writing team, but we might want to pull it back on the touchings next time, Ubisoft. I then collected all of the windswept kites, which is arguably the easiest collectible trophy in the game because it only requires like 11 or something total. I then collected some dolls along with completing a bunch of data puzzles for 2 more collectible trophies. And then I was nearing the end of the collectible section, seeing the light around the corner every 10 seconds. Much like Biden in the presidential debate. But I was going for like 3 trophies at once, the note, audio, and comic book collectibles. And I ended up finding 30 notes first, thank God. This could be considered a bit missable if you don't grab any in the beginning because some are destroyed along the way, but there should be enough no matter what left over after the story. I then found all the comic books in the game for this trophy and finally found all the audio logs I needed for another, getting the good listener trophy, and I can now rest at peace. Just kidding, there was actually 3 more collectible trophies I had left to do and I just made up all that shit about us being near the end. Fun fact, it never ends. The battle rages on within for eternity. But my next trophy was from completing all of the wind flute objectives around the map. Then I did all my Sarah 2 totem interactions. Don't ask me what the hell that is because I couldn't tell you, I barely paid attention. And finally I completed 10 of these mushroom minigame collectible things, which by the way the game only put in 9 and the last one requires you to wait 24 hours in real life for them all to reset. If that isn't the most scumbag thing to do in a game, I don't know what is. But again, this is a Ubisoft title so I'm not even shocked. Anyways, I had one more trophy in the collectible section, which isn't really a collectible in my opinion, but is from following all of these butterflies to their nest and grabbing a fruit. Kinda weird they needed us to do that, but by all means, free food. So now I have 3 trophies remaining, and 2 are very fast. First being from completing some dumbass side quests where you had to basically walk back and forth between objective markers and let a bug queen eat stuff. But don't tell anyone, You can actually run, just do it fast. And then I quickly ran around and grabbed a few skill points to get that final skill trophy from having 3 from each branch of the skill tree, which is easy since you get skill points from every one of those sapling collectible things around the map. Alright, the last trophy. One with the clans, like the Ku Klux Klan. This trophy is the absolute worst out of the entire game. And if you thought we were almost finished, I'm sorry to say that there was still 6 more hours of playtime at least, just for this piece of ass doo-doo water. Over 40 different clan contributions are needed to be made for this to be complete, and you're most definitely asking yourself right now, Its Ilusion, what is a clan contribution? Well, it's basically when you bring your colored friend. I'm just joking around. It's from going out and finding a specific item from an animal or plant, and it usually has to be of rare rarity, which just makes this even more worse. Now, I could go in depth and complain about this trophy for probably another 10 minutes in this video because it literally made this game so horrible, but I won't. Instead, I'm just gonna say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so there's the Platinum Trophy for Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. The new worst game I've ever played in my life, and I wanna cry. Rating it out of 10, I'm gonna give it a 0, and God bless this challenge for being almost over. It's officially broken me. I think I'm losing it. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my fucking mind. I'm going insane. Holy shit.